Everything is now in position. I actually remember, well, I would never really forget the bear, but this time I'm actually wearing the robe. Because if you recall, a week ago I did a two-parter, you know, because I had a 10K to do. And, you know, I worked out this morning, but I just did a simple 4.1 miler. You know, it's sort of slowly work my way back up to a race competition, because there actually is one coming up in about 2 months from now that I'm going to be doing, which should be exciting. I can't really wait to do it again, and hopefully it'll be so much warmer than the last two races that I ran. I mean, I'll give last week this. It wasn't Thanksgiving morning when it was like 3 degrees out. I mean, it really was actually, the weather itself really wasn't that bad, but it was just so windy on St. Patrick's Day Eve, because it was March 16th is when I ran the 10K. And seriously, well, actually, first things first, happy Saturday, everybody. Okay, now, so the wind was actually so incredibly bad that morning that we're all literally under the tent to get, race-themed food. Like bananas, cookies, and, donuts from Dunkin' Donuts and stuff like that. There was a gigantic bowl of Lucky Charms, which was awesome. But, there was a point in time where, if I'm under the tent, I was, right next to the side of the tent where I was inside the tent, but I was I was on the side of the inside of the tent where the wind was blowing. It was actually pushing the tent on the inside. So I was literally being pushed back from the inside of the tent. I have no idea how that's possible. It really was bad. Here's another thing to put into perspective about how bad last week's weather was. Normally when I mentioned this. I mentioned this on Sunday, that this last Sunday. So I mentioned that my grandmother doesn't really drive anymore, so I have to take her, right? So as we're exiting church on Saturday night, I run over to my car and drive over to pick her up, right? The wind was actually so strong it almost knocked her over. That was insane. Okay, next time, just in case, I'm going to park my car. Here's the thing, I really wasn't that far either. To put things into perspective, I would say I was about somewhere between 10 and 15 yards away from where I parked. Not far. Especially if you're a fast, long-legged walker like I am. I actually get that from my mother. I always tell everybody that if you see an older gentleman who looks exactly like me, and you see a short woman who walks very fast, those are my parents. So, you now have, you've seen what my parents look like before. I showed you, almost a year ago now. It was on day 147 part 2, because that was an awesome video. So, yeah. You now know what they look like, but you have a better understanding in case you forgot, perhaps. So there is that. So with bear in hand, rocking the tie, and got myself my nice comfortable bath robe. How about we get into let me try and I forgot to bring up the Alliance American Football thing. Although, one thing I've been meaning to try and get to watching lately that I haven't quite been able to do is, does anyone know what channel BR Live is? Because not only is that where you watch some of the Alliance of American Football games, but one of my brothers from Trinity Pauling, who I do believe was the lacrosse captain when I was there, he he actually plays professional lacrosse, and he actually had a game last night, and on BR Live, I believe that was the name of the show. I believe the team he plays for. He used to play for one of the teams in Canada. Now he plays for a team in, is it Los Angeles or San Diego? Darn, I gotta look that up. But yeah, so that's so yeah, he's a professional lacrosse player. When we were at Trinity Poly, he was, I believe, the face-off. Again, I mean, I said before, my basketball terminology isn't really the greatest. My lacrosse terminology is almost as bad, if not worse. Oh, it's not entirely true. I mean, there's some lacrosse does have some similar schematics that like soccer has. You have, I guess you have a center, or I guess in this case the face-off. You have defense. You have attack or offense, and goalies. So some of the schematics are there, I guess. So there's that. So hey, shout out to my brother who's a professional lacrosse player. I love my brothers no matter what, and y'all know why at this point. So that's really awesome. So before I get going off too much, how about I talk about the games that are going to be today and tomorrow? So this afternoon at 3, we have Orlando at Atlanta. Ooh. If you've been paying attention to the Alliance of American Football at all, then you know that Atlanta is one of the worst teams in the league. And Orlando was undefeated until last weekend when they narrowly lost to Arizona. So, even though Orlando is going to be playing away, because for the most part, when a team is at home, they normally have the advantage in this league, I think Orlando is going to take this one. Just call it a hunch, I guess. So there's that. Now, Salt Lake at San Antonio. Man, San Antonio's been on a real, hot streak lately. They absolutely destroyed Atlanta, hence why I just said earlier that Atlanta's the worst team, one of the worst teams in the Alliance. And so, I really don't see how San Antonio can lose to Salt Lake, especially since San Antonio is at home. So, yeah, I'll take San Antonio as the pick for tonight's game at 8. At least NFL Network is something I can actually watch a game on. That's really cool. Now, San Diego at Arizona. Both teams have really started to make a bit of a comeback. I mean, Arizona did the unthinkable and beat Orlando, which I just said was undefeated a week ago. So that should tell you right now that they're pretty good. And San Diego narrowly lost to Birmingham, so they're going to be hungry for a victory. It's a tough call, and again, that's one thing I know I've said this several times in the past, but I don't really have a favorite team in this league, at least not now. Again, this league is brand spanking new. Now, it's kind of hard to just immediately pick, a team that, I'm automatically going to say, ooh, I want that one to win. No, it doesn't really work like that. You actually have to think about who's there and what's going on. So, for tomorrow's game, San Diego at Arizona, you know what? If Arizona can beat one of the two best teams in the league, then I really think they have a shot at beating San Diego tomorrow. So, yes. So I am picking Arizona over San Diego. And speaking of one of the two best teams in the league, hello, Birmingham. And then there is Memphis. If you've also been paying attention to the Knights of American football, or been paying attention to football over the last, let's say, 15 years, then you know about a player named Johnny Manziel. Now, here's a brief rundown of him. He went to play football for Texas A&M. And he was so good, in fact, he was the first freshman to ever win the Heisman Trophy. That's why he was given the nickname Johnny Football. And everyone was so sure that he would immediately go into the NFL afterwards that he was picked in the first round. I forget if he was picked number 1, though. No, he wasn't. He wasn't picked number 1. Scary thing is, the Dallas Cowboys actually almost got him. But we ended up picking our offensive guard, Zach Martin, and, the rest is history. We actually really hit it big with that one. But Johnny Manziel then went to become the quarterback, drafted into the Cleveland Browns. And Johnny Manziel has had a very, very, very sordid history with the sport of football. Basically, he was known for getting into too much trouble with, partying and alcohol and stuff like that, pretty much any athlete worth their weight in salt should know to stay away from if they can. And so he ended up getting kicked off of the Cleveland Browns. He ended up playing football in, Canada for the Canadian Football League, which, again, you win the Heisman Trophy, the world is your oyster, hanging out with people like LeBron James, and then one morning you wake up in Canada. That's why if I ever got big and rich and famous, I would have a select team, probably mostly consisting of my brothers, of individuals that would make sure that I am kept in check. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do consider myself very responsible, but it never hurts to have some support. That's just how it works. So, basically, as part of his deal for playing in the Canadian Football League, Johnny Manziel had to do some sort of counseling and stuff like that, but he completely shirked that to get himself kicked out, and now he's playing for the Alliance. Now, originally, San Antonio had the rights to Johnny Manziel because he played for Texas A&M, and I do believe he's from San Antonio. I forget. Something along those lines. But San Antonio has been doing really well. In fact, they actually have a really decent quarterback. So Johnny Manziel goes to the next team that's available, and it's Memphis, who I have praised is coached by legendary Chicago Bear Mike Singletary. I've always been praising Memphis' defense, but unfortunately, due to their lack of being able to finish the game, Memphis may very well be the worst team in the Alliance. And now you have Johnny Manziel, who has a very sordid history, once again, with the sport of football. You see where this is going, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, it's going to be no surprise here, but I'm picking Birmingham over Memphis. I'm sorry. Sorry, Mike Singletary. Thanks to a couple of my brothers who are from Chicago, I do have a soft spot for the Bears, and I consider the Bears to be the second team in NFL history to hold the moniker of the greatest defense of all time after the Super Bowl 12 Dallas Cowboys. But it'll be an interesting game, to say the least. I predict Birmingham is going to win, and I expect them to, but I won't count Memphis out necessarily. So, yeah, my picks are Orlando, San Antonio, Arizona, and Birmingham. So, agree, disagree, and I'll get a discussion going, I suppose. Well, time to get out of my day. Nice, peaceful Saturday morning, and I like that. So, like, favorite, share, and hit that subscribe button. I could really use the support on YouTube. Follow me on the social media platform, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr. As always, I am very humble that I made this video for all of you guys to watch and enjoy today. I'm very hopeful that we all have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday. And remember, if you guys want to talk or chat, I'm always going to be here to lend an ear, and I'll always have your back. Take care, and make good choices.